All right, let's go over some things in the patch notes that I am liking. If I could sum them up a little bit, it would be that melee is getting some love. Now, the first thing I want to point out, this really caught my eye, caught my attention, because I made a video about this on May 15th. I uploaded it. It was about Impact Shockwave not working and not creating aftershocks with Staggering Palm. I uploaded the video, and this was the thumbnail for it. It just said Impact Shockwave on it. And I thought I was going crazy because I was so sure that it wasn't working. And people in the comments were like, no, it's working. I don't know what you're talking about. And I had a lot of them. So much that I deleted the video off of my channel. So check this out. Yo, what's up, dudes? I want to talk about Impact Shockwave support. And you can see I have Impact Shockwave on here. And Staggering Palm can heavy stun primed enemies just like Bone Shatter. Here, let me take off the armor explosion and the break armor so you can see. So let's try this guy. He's primed. Where's the ring? You know? I don't see it. How about this one? It's not there. GGG. Impact Shockwave is not working on Staggering Palm. All right, so I wasn't crazy. It actually wasn't working, you know? But I'm telling you, people were like, oh, it's working. I tried it. I tested it myself. Like, it's working. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you just have to build the AoE higher. Your AoE wasn't good enough. I'm like, oh, okay. So I deleted the video. But it turns out it wasn't working. So what this means now is that Impact Shockwave can be used on more things besides Bone Shatter. Okay, so sticking with some of the Palm stuff, all of it got like a quality of life update, which will make it way smoother to use. Like, check this out. Killing Palm now grants a power charge if a callable enemy dies while you are dashing to them. You know how many times this happened? I've used Killing Palm and Shattering Palm and Staggering Palm. And sometimes especially with Staggering Palm, if you had a projectile shoot out, it would hit the target and then you wouldn't be able to like complete the Staggering Palm hit and replenish the duration. It was so frustrating. So they looked at all three and they've just made it so that if you're dashing towards a target and they happen to die, you still get the benefits. So Shattering Palm still has an explosion. Staggering Palm replenishes the projectile duration. And then Killing Palm gives you the power charge. And it also says, now also quickly dashes and strikes additional valid targets for Killing Palm. And that just sounds really cool. So it sounds like you're going to be like, boom, like that. It's going to like zip to a couple other things, like a mini flicker strike or something. That sounds really cool. Staggering Palm has that same thing. Now also quickly dashes and strikes additional valid targets. And the duration got some buffs too, so that it doesn't get wasted if you haven't used a projectile yet. Staggering Palm sounds really good, which brings me to Whirling Assault. Now, I made a video that says I tested Whirling Assault for GGG. Here's what I found. Some of you probably saw that video. And then if you saw this patch note here, you were probably thinking, did Mike, like, is that all Michael? I don't know. I think maybe somebody at GGG watches the channel or something, or was seeking out some YouTube videos with testing in them or something. I don't know. But here it is. Whirling Assault base movement has been reworked to be more fluid. I specifically brought that up. Now has plus 1 second to total attack time, previously 1.4. All right, that's an improvement. It's not ideal, I don't think, but that is much better. Now has plus 14 to melee strike range. That's crazy. That's huge. And 1% more area of effect per gem level. Okay. Well, that's a huge buff to Whirling Assault. So Whirling Assault combined with Staggering Palm was already pretty strong. Okay. It's going to feel way better to have Staggering Palm be zipping through, having the duration always on you a bit better. It does more damage. And then you're going to have Whirling Assault with this way bigger AoE. We even saw footage of how much better Whirling Assault looks in the new patch. Okay, that is like so much better than what it is now. And I have footage of a Whirling Assault build that I made this league. And just look at how much tinier like the AoE is and the speed of it and everything. And I'm using like proliferation with like poison and bleed and stuff on it to make it like work. And it's not bad. So it's going to be really good now.
Okay. So you won't feel like you're just playing in a sea of grey.
All right, so a couple others that caught my eye. I've been using Gathering Storm and Frozen Locust since the game launched. In this patch, they really ruined Frozen Locust. And I was going to try to make it work by using +1 limit. So you could do 2 backflips and have 2 locusts. And the first one would most likely get destroyed and do 80% less damage. But then the second one, maybe the enemy would run into that and it would be full damage. So couple problems. The plus limit didn't work with it, even though it should have. So that was just dead in the water. The way they changed it just made it so weak and unusable. It's something that I don't think they ever really needed to nerf, actually, just based on how the last league went and how difficult melee was in general compared to lightning arrow and ranged. So they are trying to backtrack a little bit and make Frozen Locust useful. They've changed how it works entirely, but I think it might be back on the menu. It's based on its maximum crystal life now, and they buffed the life of it from 1300 to 9500. So you got to work on that somehow. And it no longer leaves chilled ground, though. So that's a little different. The other thing is Gathering Storm. Okay, so Gathering Storm got a buff, and it's already really strong. Like, really, really strong. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a move that they would like nerf one day, and I was like, I hope they don't, because nobody uses it. You know, like I used it a lot. In 0.2, I used it a lot actually with a spear on swap, and then I also used Frozen Locust that patch again. And that build was great. Gathering Storm into a Frozen Locust was so strong. It was really good with bosses. Shattering Palm into a Frozen Locust was so good. So anyway, that seems like it's a little bit back. And then Gathering Storm travels farther, has more shockwaves, like more than double. And the timing window is increased. Okay, so Gathering Storm is even better than it used to be. And I already thought it was fine. Like I didn't even think it needed a buff. But okay, we'll take it. Okay, just going to try to wrap up here with some of the ascendancy stuff. Okay, first thing, I played Warbringer at League launch for 0.3, and I thought it was pretty good, and being able to armor break on all hits is really nice, okay? And so this is sweet. Imploding Impacts now also grants fully broken armor you inflict, increases all damage taken from hits. That is such a big buff. That opens up the Warbringer so much more, because any type of hit you do, it doesn't have to be physical. Now it can be any type of hit, can break armor and deal more damage. Yeah. So that's awesome. That really caught my eye, and I'm glad Smith Vikatava has been resurrected, you know, and is much better now. So I have to point this out too. So Chronomancer. Did anyone catch this? Does anyone that watches my channel see this patch note and think like this was me too? Okay, I made a video for Chronomancer, and I talked about Inevitable Agony in the video and how incredibly lackluster it is. And I said it should ignore the curse limit. And look at this. Look at the patch note. Now ignores the curse limit. I also said that it should do more damage because it just doesn't do enough damage, and they buffed that as well. So from 33% to 50%. Now it's still not quite there. So it looks like they just gave it a quick little buff, you know, but really what it needs is support from the support gems. If those interact with the damage, then that could be really good, because if you can use support gems with it, which it doesn't say you can, but if you can, then you'll be able to do stuff like over 100% more damage, like within the duration of the curse, and it'll like hit again, you know? So you could do like a big hit like twice or 3 times with something like that. We'll see what it is. The other thing is that there's no animation. If you look at my video for this, where I tested Chronomancer Ascendancy and talked about some of the hangups with it, I had an idea in there to have like a mini freeze, kind of like time freeze, when the duration has ended, and it like, does the damage again, and it signals that it does. And there were people in my comments who had some really good ideas. There was one that I pinned, and it was like basically like saying that there should be like a clock. He was saying that there should be a clock that's like above the enemy, and you would use this mostly on a boss. And there'd be a clock, and the hands on the clock are swords, and they would be like chink, 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 so you can see when the duration's going to end. And when it ends, the sword would drop and hit him again. I'm like, dude, that's cool. My idea was more just like, once the duration ends, you just see like a mini time freeze, and then it's like, and it like hits him again. And then there could be like even a symbol of some kind that even looks like some kind of time thing that's mixed with some kind of Japanese kanji or something to make it kind of anime. But anyway, my idea, his idea, both would be fine. They're both cool ideas. So that was interesting to me that they actually decided to buff Inevitable Agony. I made a video on that. In terms of what I'm going to league start, I have no idea. But what I'm leaning towards is just figuring out which ascendancy is going to work really well for werewolf melee. That's kind of what I want to do. And maybe the next video, I should just start mulling over some ascendancies to figure out which one would look best for werewolf. Lots to consider, because the werewolf shapeshift, it's kind of like monk, which I also said they should do. Remember, I was like, the werewolf should keep up with the Ice Strike monks of the game. I specifically said that on Talkative Tries podcast and a couple my other videos. So, and it seems like that's going to be the case. So that means there's quite a few options to look at in terms of what will be a really good ascendancy for werewolf. It might not actually be druid. It might not be. So maybe I'll make that video. Maybe I'll think about that some more. Anyway, talk to you dudes later. This patch is actually not as bad as people are making it out to be. There's a lot here, actually. Okay? All right. Talk to you later. Bye.